well, I keep telling everybody, if the listeners would just fork over $1 every 6 months, if 15,000 listeners would fork over $1 every 6 months, we wouldn't have financial problems. And that's what our show is on Thursday. So you guys won't have financial problems, because what is Thursdays all about? It's all about having protection with your assets, and that's why we bring on Mr. Bob Chapman of the International Forecaster. Mr. Bob Chapman has a newsletter, goes out twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays. You can subscribe to it. Go to his website, the 3 W's, theinternationalforecaster.com. That's the international FORECASTER.com, or call him on the phone and advise him that, hey, I'd like a little help. Call him at 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188. Leave your name and your phone number, and Mr. Bob Chapman will call you back. He is a fighter. He brings the truth out. He is on over 30 radio stations a week. He works his heart out. His wife, Judy, grabs him at least one day a week to go out and let's go play some golf and relax, take the stress off. Mr. Bob Chapman has been spouting the truth for over 40 years on the financial, and he is basically the whistleblower of the financial industry. He's the most plagiarized talk show host or talk show individual out there on the financial network. Mr. Bob Chapman is the man that knows the truth, and he cites it in his newsletter. And I want to tell you, you cannot find a better newsletter out there. Mr. Bob Chapman, welcome to the show, sir.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to be here again. And I see you're a busy little beaver there, and you get more people listening to the program, and I think that's terrific.
Well, we just work at it. we just network. You should have. By the way, I need to let you know we got a girl over there in Washington D.C. Her name is Melissa Hopkins. She does a show on Thursdays in the morning, and it's a time frame that's just not opposite you, just before you on one of your shows. And one of the Wind Talkers radio networks carried her show today, and she says, Bob Chapman, following the show with Melissa Hopkins today, was one of the best back-to-back shows that they had heard in a long time. Now, I don't know if that was a live show that was presented today, but it was picked up by Wind Talkers out of Venezuela, and they carried it down there at the coffee house that's catty-cornered from the Canadian Embassy.
Well, I'll make sure that maybe I can someday meet Miss Hopkins.
So what's the latest? What's the big thing out there? I mean, you obviously the big insight was yesterday that with the not yesterday, but day before yesterday, with the election of Mr. Brown in Massachusetts. Everybody in the brothers talking about it and jumping on the board, even though they didn't sponsor him or help him out. But I noticed the stock market was going down this afternoon before I had to break away. It was down over 200 points at around 2:30 my time. So I don't know what it landed at. Well, what's going on out there in the financial industry, Mr. Chapman, that you can warn these fellow Marines out there that are basically re-enlisting right now, or they're coming home with a large amount of money stuck in the bank because they haven't had any place to spend it? And there is a rotation of 8,000 Marines coming in from Afghanistan over the next 35 days, and they're going to be needing places. And I've got a number of the girls in California who, before the show today, asked me all kinds of questions. Please ask Mr. Chapman places to where that they can go look at to invest their money. And the amount, we're only talking about maybe $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000, but it's our life savings.
Well, I think the best thing for them to do with that amount of money is to go and buy gold and silver coins and put them away, and that's the safest place for them. And if they had more money, they can get involved in stocks, but they don't, so they can buy bags of silver, the pre-64 dimes, quarters, and halves called junk silver. And they can buy small gold coins for $250 to $300 each. And so, and if they want 1 ounce coins, of course, they cost about $1,200 or thereabouts. And so that would be the best thing for them to do. If they want dealers, all they have to do is email me, and I'll give them the name of dealers they can deal with that will not rip them off and will take small orders.
Mm-hmm. I know Mr. Chapman's not in the food business, but does he have any news on the spring food shortage that is being talked about in some of the financial papers?
Well, we talked about it in the International Forecaster a few months ago, and then again a couple of months ago, and then again just recently. And the grain silos are virtually empty in the United States, and there's no backup. And I think that the cold weather will damage some crops to some extent, and I think there will be a shortage, but not in the United States. I think there'll be higher prices in the United States, and the shortages will occur in the third world where people will starve to death. You know, it's a terrible thing, but that's what's going to happen because they won't be able to afford to purchase grains and beans and the things that they need to subsist. They'd stop using corn and other things to make ethanol. Things would be a lot easier. Ethanol is a disaster, and it's subsidized by the government and the people at the top who are making the ethanol are the Illuminati, and they're making all the money, and the people are getting screwed. Well, with that said, I'm glad they're coming home, the Marines, and the best place to be is in gold and silver. And the prices have just come off about $100, which makes in gold, which makes it cheaper than it was a few days ago.
I understand. Mr. Chapman, in the financial world today, there was some input about Bank of America losing $5.2 billion. Can you inform the audience what that really means?
It means that they've got serious problems and they haven't told the people all of the problems, and they're much graver than that. And I see Paul Volcker's pushing to get the breakup of the big banks, and you know, Volk is a member of the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, and he's a Bilderberger. So I really can't figure out what they're up to yet. It may be a diversionary move. It may be a diversion to take the heat off the banks. In other words, everything's going to be okay if they break them up. And then later on they'll get back together again. But it's insidious. These people have looted our country. They created wars so people could get killed deliberately to make money and to control the population. And that's not a very good thing.
Ask Bob if he believes HAARP was used in the earthquake in Haiti. I know that's a little off subject because this is a financial show, but they would like. There's somebody in the chat room that would like to know your personal input on that.
I certainly don't know for sure. I don't have any information, but because they can do what they can do with HAARP, I think that there's a possibility that it was done. And when you have an earthquake, you usually don't have a wide area. It usually epicenters, and it radiates from there, usually 30 miles or less. And so I think that that possibility certainly exists. And one of the things that makes me believe it could very well be is they say the Bush-Clinton crime family collecting money to send down there, which they'll steal most of it. And and they're talking. They and their pals are talking about a deep port, and there's iridium there. They think there's oil there, and on and on. And I think they're after it. And so it could very well have been a device of getting a foothold there and getting rid of a good part of the population. They think probably 250,000 people died